Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a question submitted by a viewer and having a little discussion on the topic. So the viewer asked, are polyamorous people just avoidant narcissists? Sometimes I wish I could clone myself and date a couple of girls I'm in love with, or I wish I could be reborn and experience life with each of them, and experience life with my ex too. I hate having to choose. I end up just staying single because of this. Alright, so I'm going to give a little bit of guidance on this question, give my personal thoughts, give a little bit of a prediction of what your life might look like if you keep up this mindset, and maybe give a little bit of guidance on how to shift this mindset if you would like to. And just off the bat, I think that this viewer does want to shift their mindset because they're saying they're staying single because of this, and obviously they want the rewarding, fulfilling aspect of a romantic relationship. So if you're very comfortable in polyamory and you like the way that your lifestyle is going, you don't need to take any of this advice. This is just meant for the viewer and my personal opinions. So just off the bat, are polyamorous people just avoidant narcissists? I have to say, short answer, no. Like many people who you could consider an avoidant narcissist would probably identify with the label polyamory as well. Like they're not likely to pursue monogamy. But are all polyamorous people avoidant narcissists? No, I don't think so. And we also need to think a little bit about the label polyamorous, right? This is such a 21st century term for behavior that has existed for hundreds of years, a very long time. So, to think about what I consider polyamory, just not pursuing monogamous relationships, like not committing to monogamy. So you could call this commitment issues. It's kind of like a little bit of a woke term saying commitment issues, is my full opinion. And, I used to endorse polyamory somewhat in that I am on record as saying the only logical argument for monogamy is sexual exclusivity. And I still said that that is enough of an argument to pursue monogamy. But now I've kind of gone a bit of a 180, and I feel like it's a lot harder to justify polyamory from just a logical, lifestyle perspective. And I am an advocate of monogamy now. Alright, so I'm also going to be giving a little bit of tough love here. Like, this is not a personal attack, okay? I think that obviously there is some mindset present in this question and in the behavior of a lot of polyamorous people where maybe there's a little bit of room for growth. So if I say anything that comes off as a little critical, it is really like tough love. Like I'm criticizing the behavior, not you as a person. Okay? And like another kind of term that maybe we should be familiar with is like the concept of being avoidant. This is like the avoidant attachment style, and as we know, attachment styles are formed in those early months and years of your childhood, right? It's the way your primary caregivers interact with you. So although it's really easy to like throw the term avoidant as kind of like an insult or like a criticism, it's not really a criticism because it's not something we choose. At the same time, as adults, we can choose to be more conscious of our behavior and understand that like, okay, avoidant behavior can hurt people, so I should work on this. But I'm not necessarily going to say like, oh, you're avoidant, that's a bad thing. Like, it's not like a flaw in that sense, but it is something that you can kind of resolve if your behavior is affecting other people negatively. And I'm saying this as someone who comes off as a little bit avoidant as well, so maybe I'm a little defensive on this. All right, so something that I really think about when I read this question is Sylvia Plath's analogy of the fig tree, right? So she's looking at all these different branches, like there's so many to pick, but then she's just sitting there and watching the figs fall off the tree because she didn't pick a branch, right? It's just like all these options are falling away from you. So at the beginning, yes, it looks like you have so many options, but as time flies by, you start to realize like these are all lives that you didn't pursue. And it says here you do want to experience life with someone, so I get the sense that, you gotta pick a fig. And I think that there's a little bit of a Peter Pan syndrome kind of going on in this question and this mentality as well. Okay, I want to experience life with all these women and, be reborn, right? Okay, this is obviously a delusion, right? Or like not a delusion, but just like you kind of have to drop that mentality because obviously you're not going to be reborn and experience life with all of them. You get to have one life partner and you need to pick one. All right, and I do kind of believe in this concept of next lives, okay? So where I see this is like you're picking the wife energy more so than any particular person, right? You're choosing to live in partnership with another person. And this, I think, makes you more likely in your next life to find that wife energy again, meet another person. I just think the karma here is really bad. If you're kind of a player and you don't commit to anyone, I think in your next life you're not going to find love. Just my opinion on that. And I think there's some beliefs to unpack in here as well. Okay, so the feeling of having to choose. Okay, again, like I mentioned in a recent video where I reformulated my concept of love, I think this concept of having to choose a person and like choose a partner, that is coming from a place of ego, because you're kind of like evaluating your options. You're looking at people like they're in a catalog, when really, when it comes to love, you fall in love naturally. And I think maybe the vibe that I'm getting from this question is maybe you haven't had the experience of falling in love yet, because the fact that you say date a couple girls you're in love with, like, I think that's really not how love works. I think really you do find the person for you, and it's not going to be a choice. You're just naturally going to fall into it. So I think that it's a good thing that you're staying single for now, because it kind of feels like maybe you're prioritizing your self-development so that when you meet this partner, you'll be able to show up in the best way for them. All right, and then we also have some beliefs about what does one get out of a relationship, right? So why do you want to date multiple people? Is it because you want to get close to multiple people? Is it because there's something you think they'll add to your life? Like, this person is a singer, this person is an actress, they're providing different sort of things to my life, and I want to experience it all and wear all the different hats. To me, what I think the value you get out of a relationship is to love and be loved, to know someone entirely and to be there for them in their darkest moments when they need support. And I think that when you're living this polyamorous lifestyle, that just simply isn't possible, right? To really be that rock for someone and, they really need you. Oh, sorry, I'm out on a date with someone else. Tough luck. Like, it just doesn't really work as well, in my opinion. And then what is the sacrifice of commitment? You hate having to choose because it feels like when you commit to something, you're losing out on something. So maybe asking yourself, like, what are you losing? And maybe this could relate to past relationships. I think the most common one is that we feel like we're losing our freedom. And this is usually because a past relationship was very controlling. Like, maybe this person controlled who we saw, like the types of things we did with our body, how we dress, drugs we consume, things we post on Instagram, all that sort of thing, where I'm like, oh my God, I'm never gonna do that again, this commitment thing, because, it was just so controlling. But I think there is a way for you to find freedom in a relationship, because you meet someone who's been through a similar thing and they understand, I have no desire to control or be controlled. Like, another person's body, life, their relationships, that's entirely theirs. And I think that there's a way to be in a monogamous relationship without necessarily having to sacrifice freedom, unless the freedom is to sleep around with other people without any sense of communication. Because, there's definitely ways to be in a monogamous relationship, but still kind of like, be a swinger, have like an open relationship, pursue other lovers, but with this open communication, because of the fact that your partner is like the one for you. They are your partner, your life partner. It's not like you have multiple life partners. It's like you have one partner. And if you see other people on the side, honestly, that's fine, because, in my opinion, because you've committed to this person. Right? And it also is kind of feeling like this false sense of choice, like I said, is like, it's not necessarily something you really get to choose. Like, people will come in and out of your life, and, you think you can date a couple girls, and like, you have this mentality of like, I don't know what stage you think you're going to get to in the relationship, but I think when it actually plays out, you're going to realize that these are just going to be short-term flings, and it's not really like you get to choose to like live a full life with them, or maybe it's going to be like just kind of some toxic bond. Like, if you think about the type of person who is willing to be in a relationship with someone who's not going to commit to them, that's probably someone who has a little bit of low self-respect, honestly. And so this is one of my predictions for what your life will look like if you keep up this mentality, okay? You realize that other polyamorous people are just kind of for the streets. Like, honestly, they're not going to show up for you emotionally like that. When you need them, you call them and suddenly they're not responding because they're on a date with someone else, right? So you go, you know what, screw this. I need like a real woman, okay? So you find this high quality woman who's really there for you emotionally. She always shows up when you need her. But of course, the thing is, because she values herself, she has some self-respect, She says, I'm not going to play your silly little game of musical chairs. Like, I want a partner. So then you're going to say, well, I like this person so much. I like the way they show up for me. I want them to be my partner. So maybe you might like lie a little bit and be like, you know what? Maybe I'll take a little pause on this non-monogamy thing. Let's see where things go, right? But you're still clinging on to this bizarre mindset. I mean, like, let me be straight up honest with you. It's retarded. It's just dumb thinking that you can have your cake and eat it too. Like, have all the depth and commitment of a monogamous, committed relationship, but still get to just like have all these options and not commit to anyone. It's like this one-sided thing of like, you want your partner to be there for you in the way that a partner is, but you're not going to be there for them. And in that sense, it really is quite avoidant. And another prediction that I might have in this is like, okay, thinking about like adulthood, like I'm kind of talking now and like dating, you're probably a young adult, like I kind of know who submitted this question, but it's like you aren't quite at that point yet where you really have to think about responsibility too much, and I think that's good. Like, I think this is the time like to be dating and not necessarily commit to anyone monogamously. Like, sure, like you're just dating, that's okay, you don't need to label it polyamorous, but like maybe when you get a little older, your life might look a little different. So how I think that this polyamorous mentality, what we call polyamorous, I think it manifests into this feeling of like absent fathers, or kind of just like these parents that are for the street, and they just like don't really take care of the people around them, right? So, you know, worst comes to worst, let's say you get a girl pregnant, or, you know, if you're a woman, like maybe you get a dog together, whatever, but you can't commit to someone. And like the thing is, okay, specifically I'm talking to men here, it's not your choice to get someone pregnant because you don't know what will happen. Like it's really hard to predict. And in the course, you know, maybe you've been okay so far. In the course of 20 years seeing someone, you might get them pregnant, okay? So God forbid you become a parent, but you still have this mentality. Like, do you understand how valuable it is for a child to have their parents in their life? And if you're this polyamorous person, you're not going to commit to your family, you're going to ruin that child's life. And like, let's not even think about the effect that it'll have on your partner of having someone who's just kind of in and out, and, you know, you're still maintaining this emotional tie but refusing to like actually be present for them and like support them long term. It's just like, I just really can't endorse this type of behavior. So this is why I'm really cautioning against it, because I think a lot of people kind of see it as this like identity, you know, I'm polyamorous, the way that I'm bisexual, the way that I'm bohemian, and it's like not really. Like, in a way, this really is a flaw, and I think that a lot of people use poly as this kind of woke term to cover up for just really inappropriate and hurtful behavior. And I get the sense, okay, with this person who's asking this question, I think you just haven't met the one yet. So this is just, maybe you don't have to worry about it too much. Like I was saying, it's like, don't freak out about it. I think you'll figure things out. It's not like so serious that you need to be like, okay, I'm ready for commitment. I think when you meet the right person, that relationship is naturally going to evolve into a place where, like, if you want to support them long term, it's going to look like more of a monogamous commitment. And okay, here's just like one question that I would like to ask polyamorous people, or just people who have this commitment issues mentality, okay, where maybe you're seeing multiple people, or maybe you're not seeing anyone right now, but you have the idea of seeing multiple people. Okay, imagine you have a terminal illness, like you know it's your last day to live, or it's the apocalypse, and you can run to one person's side and hold them in your arms. Who are you running to? Right? Is it not the love of your life? Or are you picking between which partner you like better? Like, and then you're leaving one out in the cold. And this can manifest in a lot of smaller ways as well, where it's just like it should really be that rock for your partner, but if you have multiple people on rotation, you just can't value any of them in the depth and like level of commitment that it takes to really love someone. And like I mentioned in my video, reformulating my concept of love, and talking about this idea that love can be the meaning of life. And for you, if you're someone who talks about wanting to experience life with a woman, maybe that means that love is something that gives your life meaning. Maybe it's not the only meaning of your life, but it certainly gives your life meaning. I think you're depriving yourself of this possibility by not, you know, really considering the concept of committing to someone entirely, because to love and be loved is not something you can kind of just throw around. Like, sure, I love my friends, sure, I love my dog, but this romantic passionate love is something where it's just only this one person. Only one person does it for you, and you're only there for one person like that. Like, you're never going to have to pick sides between which partner, or like where you're spending your time or spending your energy or giving that emotional care to. It's like, it's your partner. And I think, I will speak to people who maybe haven't had great models of this in their life. Maybe they don't understand fully the support that a really strong, loving relationship can offer to someone's life, and like the stability that you have in your home life when this is present, compared to the instability that is present when one or both partners have commitment issues. And, I'm saying this like from personal experience, right? If all you have seen is this instability and these commitment issues, you kind of think that's normal, and you kind of think that's an okay way to go about life. But I think maybe you'll get to a point in your life where you go like, dang, I just really wish that my home life had just a little bit more stability, and just like that feeling of like partnership and collaboration, and really just like commitment to building a family. And this is like, even if you don't want to have kids, even if you just want a partner, or even if you pretty much want to be on your own, it's just the sense of stability granted to you by knowing that there's someone there in your corner. And when you call them, they're going to be there for you. They're not going to be chasing tail instead of fulfilling the emotional needs that you have, because that's not what partners do. So overall, I really think that, like, don't worry about it too much, and don't get too hard on yourself, because I think, if you have this polyamorous mentality and you're like, oh, I'm an avoidant narcissist, like, don't beat yourself up because of it. It's normal to have commitment issues. We're still young, and this is just a common thing that we all go through. And especially if you've been burnt in relationships before, like maybe had your freedom imposed upon you, or been in some sort of toxic, codependent, or abusive relationship, it really makes sense to think like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again, and therefore I'm swearing off monogamous relationships. But I think that until you have it, you actually don't know how healing it can be to really build a life with someone. And, if it's something that you want to do, if you truly want to build a life with someone, it is possible for you to shift your mindset, maybe by working on some of the things that I've talked about. And in particular, really going into this hard material of like, how did those early years of my life, like how my caretakers treated me and their relationship and the family structures I saw in my life, like how did that affect me? How did that affect the way I see men, or how I see women, how I see myself as a woman, how I see myself as a man, my place in the world, and like the type of love that I think I'm able to receive. Like, do I believe that someone could show up for me and commit to me for life? And so, yeah, it's like really hard thinking about these things. Like, these are our deepest emotional wounds, and it makes sense that they manifest then in our romantic relationships, because again, this is like this field that is very ripe for, emotional triggers. But again, like I said, you can work on it. If you want domestic stability and peace, you can have it. If you want love, you can have it. It's just a matter of getting to that place inside yourself. All right, well, thank you so much for submitting this question. I really appreciate it. And, thank you so much for watching. I know this is a little bit of a hard topic to talk about. And again, as I stated, this is really just my opinion, my personal experience. And if you have your own opinion and experience, I would really encourage you to share it in the comments. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.